Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and it is the Friday of Memorial Day weekend. We want to thank all of those in the military who have served and are serving to protect us and keep our country safe. Thank you so much. Today is the first episode of the new name of our show, which is Coexistence and Sustainability with Pet Psychic AMINAH. You see, we have our new background here. Let's bring out Pet Psychic AMINAH and talk about why we changed the name and today's topic. Hello, welcome.
Hello. And of course, you don't know this, but guess what my favorite color is?
Green?
Lime green.
Wow. I do.
So when I saw the graphic come in, I was like, oh, we're just in sync too much, and she doesn't even know it yet.
Mind reader. I love it. Well, AMINAH, as you know, we've been together for 2 years now on this journey, and it started out with really you being just a pet psychic on the show and bringing on other people who were psychics. And it's evolved so much because you're so evolved that it only made sense to change the name and also change our background. So tell us, for people who have never seen the show before, they're thinking pet psychic, coexistence, sustainability. Do they all go together? Do you have to be just one thing? I don't know. Tell us.
Well, like so many other people, we are diverse. Humanity is diverse. I don't think you can find very many people, especially in this day and age, that does one thing or only excels at one thing. So we have opportunities, and going through the pandemic, I don't recommend that for the training of the world, but look what we've gained. Look what we've gained through all the world wars, and all kinds of famine and strife. We've learned to do better. And that's the challenge. I really think whatever your spiritual leaning is, that's the challenge for all of us, to do better, correct something. We still have so much work to do to coexist with the planet, not just our animals. I mean, the whole planet. So loving our new background. Lime green is my favorite color, and we've got it all over. We have trees. So I want everybody to, as you watch our show, to understand we're on the positive side. We are going to give tips and growing and learning, and I'm going to learn a lot with you, and I'm going to share with you so much as I can, free information every week. So this is very exciting, very exciting.
Thank you, AMINAH, and congratulations. I wanted to share with you that earlier today, I actually thought of you. I think of you quite often when various things happen. We came back to this house. We haven't been here in a number of months. And in the drawer was a box. We've all seen it of, I'm not going to say the brand, but basically plastic, clingy type of wrap. Yes. And before, I wouldn't have even thought anything about it. It's such a great product, right? You stretch the ball, you do it, whatever. But yet it's not environmentally friendly. It goes in the no category. Sorry, manufacturers. But I wouldn't have even thought of that before. So it is interesting how, if we're open to learning and growing, we can. And you provide so much relevant information. And that, therefore, it's a natural evolution that as you've evolved, as I evolved, that the name should change because it's more than pets. Pets are very
Right.
important,
Right.
obviously. So our topic today is one that we haven't discussed before. And one of these is my favorite. I want you to guess. But our topic is understanding animals like seahorses, bats, snakes, and more. Which one of those do you think might be cool, really cool to me? Seahorses, bats, or snakes?
Which one would be cool to do what?
That I think are really cool creatures. Seahorses, bats, or snakes?
I would say, and this might be just a cop out easy one. I see you as a really loving seahorses.
Yes, that's right. Excellent. You know what? Because in that tiny little body, there's so much going on. It's amazing.
Have you seen them swim? It's
No,
crazy.
I've never seen
And then they hook their little bottom parts I don't know the name of, their little tail, that we're gonna call it, and they have buddies and they hook up onto each other, especially when the tide is really when there's a lot of bad weather in the ocean, and they are going to hold on to each other. They're going to hold on to sticks and all kinds of magical things. I mean, they are fabulous. They're just one of the most fabulous animals out there. As you go out and you go, why? But why not?
I love the fact that their little tails, they hook onto each other.
Yeah, especially if there's a lot of turbulence in the ocean. We've got waves coming, we've got weather, you've got hurricanes, you've got every kind of weather they have out in the water. So you're going to really see that they hang on to branches. That whole bottom part of their body is like, I would say, our fingers and our toes. They use the same use for it. They don't feed themselves usually with it, but but you get the point. And they're cute little noses, and there's so many types around the world. But what we have to really, I don't want to Debbie Downer here, anybody, not Debbie's or anybody, but our oceans are in serious trouble. And these wonderful creatures are just one of them that are really, really endangered by simply polluting the ocean.
It's so true. It's something that we as humans are really responsible for. And I told you before that there's a big debate here where I am about bringing wind farms, and it's going back and forth. The whole coast of this area, they want to put wind farms. So what are your thoughts about how wind farms impact sea creatures, if at all?
Well, the wind farms are actually literally not going to affect the ocean as much as they're going to affect birds. Birds don't understand, things that blow and go around in circles. It's a great concept. It's a great idea. And we've been at this wind issue. They're testing it all over the world now, as opposed to just some big farms. The problem is you're talking about bird strikes. It's the same thing as, let me use the example of our background right now. If these windows were not colored, or if you don't have the stripes and the way they're structured, birds don't see glass. They don't understand glass. So guess what? They go full speed and run into the glass, and they usually break their neck. And if they don't die all together, they hit the glass get broken. Bird strikes are happening to planes. They happen to these blades that go around. The bird does not look at it like, oh, it's a flower, it's a building, I need to go around. There's not that concept. After about, a few of them die, yes, they do learn, but there's so much death in between the learning. There's always some bird out there that has not come into contact with these wind propellers. And so we've got to take into consideration everything we build, everything we put out in the world, from glass buildings to skyscrapers to these wind things. As you get these windmills going, you've got to have some kind of idea. And there are so many professionals that specialize in doing this research. It's no longer a dark place.
Do you think there's, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
No.
But do you think there's any analogy to the airplanes and the bird strikes getting caught in the propeller? Is there some kind of like suction that brings the birds in? It will be the
Well,
same
they're
there.
looking at it as another bird in the air. It's just a bigger one. They don't have a concept. Now, when they fly, of course, they're doing the whole wing thing. There's no propeller that is the wing. They don't understand helicopters and the wind going around on the side. They don't understand the pipes where the blades are for the airport or the airplane. So when you don't have a concept of that this is a thing, and if they constantly bump into these randomly or on a regular basis, there's not a learning curve because one died. And you say, well, why didn't, the bird that got hurt tell all the other birds? That's not, it takes time for a bird to understand. And most of the time, the ones that learned it died. So you don't have that grandfathered in. You don't have that, great grandmother said, hey, I tripped on a curb. You probably should walk and step over it. Our parents teach us that. But if your mom and dad were killed, there's no lesson there. So this is the hard part we have to do. We have to go with what their natural instincts are and then accommodate those for some kind of distance. They have done everything from streamers to reflections to all types of things they're testing now and have been to see what the birds resonate with. What do they understand that says, oh, big sign, don't come here.
I love what you were just describing. And also we had started off with seahorses because they're unusual, and
Right.
wind farms, I think, are getting to be more plentiful than they were before. What about bats? People have a natural fear of bats. And should we? Are they
Well,
going
no,
after humans?
no. There are bats called vampire bats. That's a little of us doing, and all that means is there are types of bats that are very keen about blood. The rest is all Hollywood. The rest is all. Please understand, to make a great movie, especially if you're going to do a horror or Halloween, you got to have bats. You got to have monsters. You got to have mummies. I haven't met a mummy yet that's walking around. My parents, when they went to Egypt and did all that tour, I don't remember them ever saying they met a really a mummy walking around. So we need to take into consideration as best we can. And the science is finally here with us. That's the great part. We finally have the science. We were talking even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago. We didn't have the science. We were just scratching the surface. So we now know how certain birds go from place to place, when they do it. The science is there. People have been documenting the flight paths of egrets. If you don't know this big bird or large owls or whatever, and how high they fly, where they are and what they're trying to do, and we're still not quite there, is get planes above that, below that, have different structures on the plane so that the plane doesn't look like another bird, and they know to stay away. We are still in the baby infancy of getting this implemented. And what is the big factor that I see why it's not done? Do you have any guesses, Dr. Jacalyn? Why we're
Politics?
still, after 25 years, planes have been in the air longer than that, but that we care.
Politics?
Yep, people. It doesn't make them money. There's still too many businesses that are owned by people that don't care about the after effect. Why are opioids a huge problem all over the world now with addiction and people dying horrible deaths, and yet those drugs are being still freely available for the right person? I'm sure I haven't checked on those, but they're when they're that available, what speaks to everybody is the mighty buck. So environmentalists and people that are trying to save the world and the planet have found that they have to get their hearts involved. They have to make the CEOs and the SEOs and the bosses and the people making these decisions to make glass buildings put in these lines, just what you see. This is tinted, makes it look like a tree possibly. So the animal goes, oh, well, I don't see a branch. And they might try to stand on these black lines, but it still is impenetrable. The bird will fly around, will fly through or over. The sad part is when their fledgling mate or another bird hits, they die. So there's no bird telling another bird going, hey, don't go near that really funny tree. Everybody dies. So we can't, this time, this doesn't work. There's plenty of animals in the wild that will tell their other family members, but so many die in the process of that happening.
It's sad, isn't it? It's sad. It needs to change. So we're here bringing this information so change can take place. And let's say hello to Gaffa. Nice to have you with us.
Hi.
We had a nice chat about you with Dr. Chan today. She'll be following up. Thank you for watching from Ghana. So in addition to the seahorses, they're so cute. And I don't even have this one listed. What about the little dogs that you can hold in your hand, the teacup dogs? They remind me sort of like the seahorses because they're so tiny. They have all these organs and things packed into a small space.
Well, and it's great for those people who really want a purse dog, to hold dog. And they're all in purses. You know what I'm talking about. They come in little carriers, their own bags, their own little, and they're adorable. But what we need to do is support breeders that are doing it safely with the animal in mind for long term. Let me give you an idea. The little ones, yeah, they are small enough not to have many joint things unless they're bred pretty badly. And that's what you need to watch out for. Purebred animals have a place in guide dogs, in service dogs, in companion dogs and cats, whatever they are. I am not saying that purebreds and or breeders are bad. No, it's taking responsibility for what do you do with the puppies that don't get adopted because you've had your dog breed every year twice, and that really wipes the dog mother out. So what are you doing to be compassionate about that? And what are you doing to make sure the homes that these animals are going to, you have a return policy? Because wouldn't you want it back if the family for some reason has a catastrophic illness or death or whatever and finds out they can't handle this animal? I have my last shepherd, we had two, was adopted from this situation. We found him in the backyard of a house we were buying. We literally found him on a walkthrough. That's why we were in escrow. And there's a dog, a German Shepherd purebred, in the backyard with a 6-foot hole by 5 feet round in a tiny backyard, and he was all alone because the owner decided they didn't want him anymore. And the realtor and I are going, and what are we supposed to do with the dog? To say the least, we adopted it. Got it with the house, but that doesn't always happen. Being responsible for a life. I understand people make livings all different ways, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a life. If you're going to breed animals, be responsible for the ones that you can't place, and be responsible of not breeding the mother every single year until her body gives out. Compassion. I'm hoping that you'll have compassion for what you're doing and change things up. Do 1 year, do not the next year. Then everybody gets a much more quality pet and the animal doesn't get abused.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I have never seen one of the teacup dogs in a purse.
No.
But I can imagine, but I would also think there's a safety issue there.
Yeah, because the purses are usually bigger than the teacup. Because the whole idea is you have that China teacup and a little bitty dog in there. And that's great because, if you're doing it responsibly, I can just tell you from having German Shepherds and the one we rescued from this backyard, people really get caught up in the look. So with shepherds, they don't come with a slant in their back, but the breeders liked the look, so they would show them and everything. But guess what? If you're walking around and your hips are here and the rest of your legs are here and your head's here, how do you think your spine responds to that position 24 hours a day? It's painful. It's terrible. It's exhausting. It is also hip dysplasia. You are taking a breed that is already in danger for that because of the breeding has got, and I'm talking about now 10 years ago, and I'm hoping it continued to get better after we no longer had a shepherd. But we had to watch him all the time as far as what he did, because his slant in his back was at least, to the degree where we had to really be careful what we did. Now, I was able to get him to a point where we actually competed in agility. It's a great sport to work with your pets. You both get a run. The dog loves doing things with the people, and they're great with kids. Again, if you've trained them right. We have one solid rule. If I give you any rule that you teach your pets, all of them, I doubt the lizards will do this, but people have all kinds of exotic pets and your fishes won't. Don't let them put their mouth on your skin. Meaning, if you play bite, if you put your hand in their mouth and, oh, look, this is great, you risk that at some point they feel that it's okay to nip you here and there or pull your clothes here and there. And that's not okay. Their canines are meant to tear flesh. They should have been out in the wild and eating meat. So if you take what they're naturally supposed to do, honor that, say, okay, then the kids need to know, don't pull his fur, don't pull his tail. We actually adopted one purebred puppy, literally another dump situation. And my daughter, it was her puppy, and his tail actually just flopped on the ground. And ironically, it was another German Shepherd breed. But can you imagine what happened to this dog, Dr. Jacalyn? That his tail couldn't wag anymore? Do you have any guesses?
Yeah, somebody punished him.
Yeah, they pulled the tail so many times that they dislocated the nerve connection, and literally it's the version of broke the tail at the where it attaches to the back, and it just flopped there. He literally severed the nerve so badly with all the skin still there. All they did was just pull it so many times that his tail just drug on the ground, and he couldn't lift it ever for his whole life. He could not lift that. And when we rescued him, he was what? Not even one. He wasn't even 1 year old when this tragedy had happened. But you can't repair damaged nerves. That's not possible. So it looked funny. Here you got this fancy dog all over, and he came out smaller. People were like, "Oh, you can't make me any money." Don't get me started. My heart bleeds, and I'm lucky that we lived in a situation that we had a big backyard, and we already had adopted the first one where we bought the house and got one German Shepherd. And then, a couple of years later, my daughter said, I'd really like to have one myself. And we went out and picked the puppy because she was so young. I wanted her to have a dog that was younger, but we found a puppy that was never going to be adopted because it didn't come out pretty enough. It didn't have the markings where it was supposed to. So it was literally the cheapest, most expensive purebred we got. But the owner, the breeder, had said, no, I can't sell this one, so I'll just take it to the Humane Society. And I was like, no, we'll take it. And it was a joy. And I would highly recommend, if you can, have something. I don't care if it's a tree, a little plant, a frog, a fish, or dogs, and every other animal in there. Having your children have responsibility for a life. This is how I look at it. For a life, because this is the reality. Meaning, did you feed them today? Did you clean their cage today? Rats are the most amazing pets for children. Most amazing. I don't know if you've ever heard that, Jacqueline, but you're going to hear it from me.
No comment.
I can feel you going, no, I'm not going there. But guess why? Do you have any guesses, Dr. Jacqueline, why rats make a great pet for anybody?
I'm
but
really
let's-
struggling.
children right now. What was your statement? I heard.
I'm struggling. I guess because they eat other things.
Everybody eats other things. That's a very
Okay,
big.
I know that's not a good answer.
I had to call you on that. Yes, we all eat other things.
Yes.
Try not to chew on the
I don't. I
pencils.
can't say I don't know.
Okay.
They're very
So
intelligent.
mice are very small. Children can drop animals. Not of any thing is they're just a little more clumsy and they're getting used to their body or they're growing or whatever. Mice are little skittery things. Not a good pet. Not for children. If you want to do that as adult, that's great. Or older children, anybody like over 15, 16 years old. I'm talking about anybody from I want to say as high as 13 down, depending on the maturity of the child. Especially if you have a special needs child, this also might be a great idea depending on their mobility and what their needs are. Because an animal does what? Never judges you. They don't care if you took a shower. They don't care if you have the latest hairdo or anything. Just pet them, love them, feed them, keep their cages and their space clean. Rats are big enough for a smaller child to actually pick them up, have them around. They're highly intelligent. And if you make mazes for them, these are things that children can do to participate with their animal. They can, they're very cuddly. And when you have them in your home, they're clean. They're very clean. We're not running them out to do there. But rats make a great first pet. So much more than hamsters. Hamsters love to sleep. Hamsters like to be left alone. They're love and fuzzy and they're lovely, but they're not very interactive. A rat, on the other hand, is very smart. You can create a maze. They'll learn it and you're done. But can you imagine with your child, with a special needs a person of any age? Let's say we build our own maze. You put in some little cardboard walls and you change it around, and you're a rat or a mouse. I'm an advocate of rats for small children, is where we're talking, and because they're big enough to sustain if the child accidentally drops them, which might happen. But we're going to put in those safeties by being careful when they're held. Animals can get broken legs, but they can interact with anybody because they're so smart and they're fun to have and they have little bitty poopies. So they're very easy on the cleaning.
I'm still kind of speechless.
I can hear your voice.
I've never heard anyone say, I'd like you to meet my pet rat.
Oh, I have.
You have?
Oh, yeah. Many times. Because again, I'm the one who's going to walk through any store, pick any store, or in the mall or down the street. And as my kids say, if somebody's got an animal with them, mama's gone. She's talking to them. And I don't invade their space. If conversation naturally happens, if I say, wow, that's a great dog, or, can I pet your dog? Again, since I just said that, I really want to make sure you guys all hear this. Never, 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 never approach a pet ever without the owner's permission. You do not know what training is going on. You do not know if they just had surgery and their body hurts everywhere, so they might nip at you. Whatever the reason is, respect the human parent and say, may I please pet? If they say no, okay. That maybe they're in training. Maybe the owner just wants to get out of there and they're having a bad day. It shouldn't matter to you. It's not a personal jab, but you need to ask permission. And I have seen people walk around with rats in a little pouch or holding them. That's a little less safe, but they're highly intelligent. And we're talking, Dr. Jacalyn, if you guys and everybody's listening, have all heard how intelligent dolphins are. They are trained bomb finders. The military have been using dolphins for decades, and they really became a big deal after World War II, I believe. And what they're doing is, so you go through all these wars, water or land, and you're finding dogs that are trained to find landmines, because so many people were getting killed by those that were left over from wars. So they literally trained the dog what it smelled like, because with all those noses, bombs smell different, and they can alert you before you step on it, because most are buried. This is how these dogs are so helpful with children. It teaches so much about caring for another life, and it will carry through all of their relationships, from bosses to friends to teachers, and how to be respectful, even if you don't understand somebody. Nobody has to understand everything, but you can at least say, okay, I might not agree with you, but that's your life. And if they're doing something that you don't agree with, I know a lot of people who can't be around cigarette smoke. I'm one of those. It always makes me cough. And I really don't like smelling like that. But I just go and say, hey, I would really love it if we could not smoke. If I know somebody that I'm going somewhere with does that. 99% of good people that really like their friends and want to be in those things understands that their choice needs to be on a different place with you. I don't shove my pets down anybody's throat either. It just should be fun.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And to me, this is in alignment with what I teach in the power of listening, because it's about setting boundaries and
Yeah.
asking for permission. So whether
Exactly.
it's touching someone's pet, whether if you smoke and someone else doesn't. I remember, I'm terrible about this. This was many, many years ago. I would go up to the people on beaches and I would say, "Are you smoking? Really? Are you kidding me? Do you know that I was that person on a beach?" But that's not right. It's about following respect for one another, and that's what I feel that the message is. It's the same thing when you're teaching someone how to listen at an elevated level. We can't always be available to listen at the highest level. Is this a good time? Is it okay if I touch your pet? Is it whatever? Just ask for permission.
Exactly. And just what you said, I love it. For any situation, it's the same thing that I do even with my own children. Now, yes, my children are grown adults, but I also believed that when I was younger. And I'm sure a lot of it was modeled by my own parents. I was lucky enough to have a very heavily artistic mother who saw that animals were what I breathed from time I was little. Because I literally would go get the spiders and bring them in the house. And, oh, this great spider. And everybody's like, really? Don't do that. But I couldn't catch the lizards and everything in the desert. Spiders were easier. So my mom put me into those situations. But each one of her children, she made sure we did that. And that's what we want to say. Even if you don't agree, and animals aren't your thing, or spiders aren't your thing, or whatever, that's okay to just say, hey, I need space. So understanding spiders by what we're talking about is, if you live in a state or a location that has mosquitoes, honey, you want to love the spiders. Just love the spiders, because they're going to really help with that. I don't know, Jacalyn, if that helps you at all when you're in the area of all these mosquitoes. But there are reasons why all animals exist. Bats are doing the same types of things that the mosquitoes are getting eaten by the birds, and bats are also flying around doing things that they need to do. Some are fruit bats, some are bug bats, and that's not the name, but where I'm going with it. And also snakes. And I know people, literally, I've been giving talks, and that's one of the days I actually have the animal with me. And I absolutely, of course, adore snakes, and I've worked extensively with them. Not as long as I would have liked, but I love them, and I've loved them since I was a little bitty kid. I find them fascinating. So I have had them around my neck. I have had them in my hand, and talk about, they're not here. These are not boa constrictors that we're waiting for them to, squeeze the stuff out of us, but they're managing the rodents. They're managing the bugs. They're managing the algae and the things in the ocean. Each animal is part of all of us coexisting. All of us coexisting. I just really need you to hear this. You don't have to like spiders, but you know what we do? If you ever go get fast food, you know how you get Coke in a paper cup? We keep these sometimes because we don't have paper cups in our house otherwise. And I take a piece of paper, I go push the spider in, cover it, walk outside, put them outside, and they don't usually come back because we don't have any bugs flying around in the house. So they're going to starve to death anyway. There are ways, clever ways, your way to not kill them and then have to get the goo off your window and just walk them outside. And it really is that simple. And I encourage you to try it. Think about it. See what you can do, because the spiders are really important to managing some of those bugs. They're eating the flies. I don't know you, I'm not a really fan of the flies and the mosquitoes. They always hunt me down. So everything has a real reason to be there. And all I'm hoping you'll hear is compassion with coexisting. All of these animals have the right to be here. Just because you don't know where they come from or why they're supposed to be here, there's lots of books you can look up. Most people are not interested as much as I am. And so hopefully with this YouTube and all the other shows and all the other wonderful US global people, we're all trying to share ways that you can grow, and not how to spend more money, but how to be a better person. So I hope you walk away with that, whatever you do. If you decide to have a pet for your child, make sure you get one that has requirements, the pet, not the child, but that works with your child's personality, ability, and your amount of participation. Because as a parent, you're still going to have to participate, getting them, buying them cages, whatever. And it's better than coming to find out that you've left all the responsibility to your child and then you find you have a dead pet. And it can be a dog or a cat. It can be anything. And our shelters are so full. Let me really encourage you, if you don't want a pet, go to the shelters and volunteer. See if they have a children's program or a youth program where they always need people to help clean the stalls, walk the dogs, pet the cats, all of this. So many places are so needy, and it's free. It's usually very free to come up. And we're coming up on summer. These are great ideas for you to look into to keep your kids busy. The YMCA, youth programs, your city programs. There's so many things. A lot of times you can get your kids out and away from TV and videos and get involved. And I hope some of this matters on how you will interact with nature. And the world is better when we all have compassion.
Our tagline for today is get involved. Get involved.
Exactly. Any way you want. Any way you want.
There's so many things that you can do, and so many ways you can be part of the solution instead of continuing to.
Well, and just what you're saying, I want to really examine that. I know we're wrapping up, but be a part of the solution. If you're able to walk your neighborhood and just pick up trash, great. Guess what? Your whole neighborhood does better. And maybe it will be your neighbor's neighbor that sees you do that, and they come out and ask you, why? I always see you picking up trash. Why do you do that? Because you can. Bring a little bag, pick up a little trash, you go a little over a walk. It's all about all of us pulling together and making the world better. But we need all of us. All of us. It doesn't have to be a big gesture. Just be a gesture.
I love it. Thank you, Amina. And thank you for another fabulous episode with our new title and the new background.
I love it.
And we are approaching the observance and celebration of Memorial Day. Anything that you would like to share with our audience as we close out?
Yeah, be there and be aware of whatever you can. Memorial Day is another great holiday to remember, to be there, and whatever you can do to make somebody's life better. Kindness is the first step. So many people are military, are ex-military, people in the armed forces and police, or wherever you're around anybody, to smile and just say hello sometimes is huge. Sometimes stopping to have a conversation with somebody that you maybe see on your walk or downtown and just say, hey, just wanted to say hi. Hope you have a great day. That might be the best thing they hear all day. Remember, it is that simple.
Thank you. That's a great way to close out. How can people reach you, and who would you like to contact you about working together or maybe having a conversation?
If you have any pets, living or past, I do have the gift of talking to dead people and animals, animals that have passed. It is a two-way street. I do have to get their permission. I don't just walk around talking to people's relatives without their permission, either the living or the past. But that is something that I can help you with. As you can tell, I'm big on training. I am a trainer for that reason. And I hope that we can come up with creative. Am I the right person for everybody? No, nobody is. But I sure will give it my absolute best and research it as much as I can. If you'd like fun and education, join my website and my Facebook, bridgingworlds.org, and you can see all the different links for this show, and all of them are on my website, bridgingworlds.us. That is the proper link, bridgingworlds.us. Join me anytime.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I also want to just thank the people who have recently joined our channel. I happened to notice today we had 666 people in the last week subscribe to our channel. So that is super exciting. And we want to welcome all of you. And if you're not aware, we do have 37 shows a week. And our goal is to bring education, hope, and inspiration to everyone. So we hope you have a beautiful and safe weekend wherever you are in the world. And please do come back and see us again for our show next week. And of course, we stream live from Monday to Friday, and soon it'll be Monday to Saturday.
Yay! Is it yay? Yay.
It's a yay. That's definitely a yay. For sure.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
All right, we're saying goodbye, and thank you to each and every one of you for what you're doing in terms of coexistence, sustainability, being kind to one another, and helping us keep this beautiful planet for decades, centuries, for people coming long after us, and animals, creatures, all of us, all of
even the mosquitoes.
That's right. Even the mosquitoes, they have their role.
Anybody know why they are here? I'm all in.
All right. Be safe. Take care. Bye, everyone.